Acquisition.
Hey YouTube, Acquisition84 here, and this is a quick-fire redo of all of my hated decks in the game. Yeah, because obviously, like I said before, when I did the original video covering 58 decks over 6 videos, there were some that I completely forgot about. And of course, one of them, Macro, came back to life since the original videos, and some others have been added to the list, bringing it up to a total of 68 decks. Now I know I'm going to sound like a broken record in case you haven't watched the last video, but yeah, 68 is a lot, I know, but that doesn't mean that there are more decks that I hate than decks that I actually like, because there are actually so many decks out there, like more than 70, that I actually do like, regardless of whether I play them myself or not, and others I'm not bothered about. But what can I say about all of the decks that I hate? But I mean, this hatred cannot be helped, okay? Like, over the course of the last 15 years of playing the game, every single one of these decks has made my dueling life an absolute misery. Like, yes, there are times where I was lucky enough to beat them and see the out, but that doesn't happen every single time. And like I keep saying, just because there are outs to an annoying card or an annoying deck doesn't mean you're always going to draw into those outs, no matter how many you have. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna do as quick a summary as I can over all of these. Like, if you want to see the original series of videos uh, and the last video I did on other hated decks, I'll post links in the description down below if you want more details on why I hate them. But yeah, let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. Valkyries, like, I hate Valkyries because like it's an OTK deck, because obviously Ride of the Valkyries and Mischief of the Time Goddess exists. Not to mention they have cheap shot banish spells in Goddess Verdunda's Guidance. I think. I think. Yes, the one that banishes a face down card if you guess it right, as well as that stupid quick play spell that changes the battle position of a Valkyrie and banishes a monster. Yeah, it's so annoying, not fun to play against. I mean, yeah, it can brick, and to be fair, it is the easiest one to beat, but that luck isn't going to happen every single time. Fright Furs, well, it's an OTK deck. Like, blowing up the board with Tiger, bringing out a whole bunch of other fusion monsters, and going for an OTK is just all they ever do, and it's just infuriating. Ritual Beasts, like, um, well, they play a monster that either negates everything or it negates spells and traps. I actually can't remember what the exact effect is. Um, I know it's a negate, even though it doesn't come out very often. And all the other fusions just dodge out the way of anything I try to do to them, which is so annoying. Along with the fact that Ritual Beast players just take forever to play out a turn. Like, no disrespect, but um, but that's what it feels like. Volcanics I hate simply because Blaze Accelerator Reload exists. Like, it's just like it just makes the deck annoyingly disruptive. Like, just sending scatter shots to the grave, like at any time during the main phase, wiping out the opponent's monsters and burning for 1500. Like, it is infuriating, whether it's on the field or in the graveyard. Um, Shame, really, because it was originally a cool, classic, iconic GX deck, but Blaze Accelerator Reload by itself just ruined that deck and made everyone hate it. Shadows I hate simply because, well, Winder and Shekanaga exist. I mean, Shekanaga is pretty much a walking divine wrath for special summon monsters, which is annoying because special summon monsters are needed to win, whereas Winder just slows games down too much. Like, Synchro Exceeds and Link heavy decks just auto lose to Shadows because of Winder. Um, is infuriating. Magical muskets I hate simply because, well, because what is that quick play spell called? Cross stand? Like, the one that targets a monster, negates its effects, and reduces its stats to zero. Just the fact that you can activate that and last stand from hand, like, even on the opponent's turn, um, it's just annoying. They just stop too many things with these cards, like, and it just makes them impossible to counter. Um, Not to mention the inclusion of Ash just adds insult to injury. Yeah, basically it just plays too many negates and it's just annoying. Layer of Darkness I hate, or simply because, well, Layer of Darkness exists, and it just and thanks to its presence, it tributes my monsters to activate their virus cards, just getting rid of anything I have just like that, which is just really infuriating, and it's just hard to fight against and hard to come back from. Like, Gravekeepers I hate simply because Necro Valley, Hidden Temple, and Imperial Tomb exist. Like, again, it just turns off the graveyard. Like, graveyard dependent decks just auto lose to them. Like, heavy special summon decks just auto lose to Hidden Temple, whereas Imperial Tomb just negates everything. It's just so annoying. And then, of course, there's Royal Tribute, which is their own version of Crush Card Virus, just discarding all the monsters just like that. And with Necro Valley in play, there's no way to get them back. Like, it's just not fun to play against. Sacred Beasts I hate simply because Cerulean Skyfire and Awakening of the Sacred Beasts exist. Skyfire with Hamon on the field basically negates half my deck, while Awakening negates the other half, as long as at least two Sacred Beasts are in play. I also don't like the effect where if all three of them are out, it becomes a macro deck. So again, graveyard dependent decks just auto lose to them at that point. And they're just not fun to play against anymore. Shame, really, because I used to like them, and Hamon is my favourite Sacred Beast, but again, Structure deck just ruined them for me. Time Lords I hate because it's a stally burn deck. Like, stalling behind indestructible monsters and doing burn damage is so fucking annoying. Like, whether it's with Lazion, Sandion, or Camion. Lazion being the absolute worst one. If the opponent's on 1,000 or less, they just summon it, end their turn, and it's game over. Lazion for game is just cheap and dirty. Exodia FTK I hate, well, because it's an FTK deck. FTKs are toxic as fuck. Like, they just shouldn't be a thing. Like, I hate the idea of playing a deck that's designed to win right away before the duel's even started. In this case, Exodia FTK. Like, this is the only variant of Exodia and Blue Eyes that I hate a lot, because it just uses and abuses Blue Eyes White Dragon, White Stone of Legend, and their draw engines just to get Exodia turn one. Like, it's just disgusting. Dark World I hate because it's also an OTK deck. Like, literally, all they ever do is pop things with Grapha and just OTK with triple Grapha. Or even if I don't get OTK, then my monsters get banished with Dark Smog, and then you have their new stupid fusion monster, which is practically a negate. Right, technically it doesn't say it negates, but it might as well, due to the fact that it changes the effect of a monster effect, normal spell or normal trap into your opponent discards a card, and they always use it in combination with silver, which puts two cards in my hand back on the bottom of the deck. Like, at least it's not top, but even so, that's just really, really annoying. Why did they have to get a structure there? Seriously. In fact, why did they have to get two structure decks? I mean, they were already annoying enough as it is. Um, Scraps I hate because it's also an OTK deck. They just spam out the synchros just like that and destroy stuff, bounce stuff, and just go for game with a field of two scrap twins and a scrap dragon, or vice versa. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I have been done in by that field. Um, and Scrap Dragon is just one of my all-time hated synchros, and it's annoying that it can be played outside of Scraps. Um, and ever since they came out, we've had more ways that they can OTK, including using them with Kaijus. There's something on the field that can't be targeted or destroyed? Kaiju it, then bring out Twin, pop a card, and bounce that Kaiju back to hand and do it all over again constantly. Scraps. Magispectres I hate because it's an archetype full of monsters that can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which wouldn't be a problem if they weren't used with cheap shot banish cards like Tornado, that trap that negates and banishes if you tribute a Magispectre, and then of course there's that spell which just targets and destroys, which isn't so bad in comparison, but yeah, Magispectres are annoying to play against, and most monster removal cards are basically useless against them. Thank God they stopped seeing play after Master Rule 4 came into effect. Dinosaurs of any kind I hate simply because Ultimate Conductor, Tyranno, Lost World, and the Fosager exist. Like, fuck these cards and everything they stand for. Seriously. I mean, and dinosaurs were another deck that I used to like, but the structure deck that we got 6 years ago just ruined them for me. Like, they're just too disruptive now. Like, so much so to the point where you pretty much can't play. Um, well, the Phosagem just banishing three different extra deck monsters, Lost World to prevent targeting except tokens, and then there's Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is like one of the most degenerate boss monsters in the game. It's disruptive as fuck, using its effect at any time to flip monsters face down and attack them all at once and do burn damage. Like, plus the fact that it can run like Evil Czar's Lagir and Dolker is just insult to injury, just adding negation into the mix, because why not? Um, yeah, deck's just impossible to beat, or at the very least, it's just bullshit, unfair, and just not fun to play against anymore. Bone Tower deck I hate. Well, again, because it's an FTK deck. Like, literally, all they ever do is bring up Bone Tower and the Mayakashi Synchros and Synchro Climb and just deck the opponent out. And just, I hate deck out decks of any kind. Trying to deck the opponent out is cheap, dirty, dishonourable, and disrespectful, especially if it's in the form of an FTK deck. Like, how is Bone Tower not banned? Seriously. And this came out during a period where FTKs were just all over the place. I love that Konami were just hammering down on them, but didn't do anything about this one. Like, how is that fair? Tri Brigade I hate because again it's an OTK deck. Like it plays so many disruptive hand traps, but mainly it just does nothing but OTK, and it brings out the Link monsters far too easily, especially Omen, which is a cheap shot, non-targeting banish card. I hate that fucker. Seriously. Dark Lords I hate, not because of the Dark Lord monsters themselves, but because of two of their traps, Christia and Vanity's Emptiness. Like, Christia and Vanity's just shut down my special summons, and they're just too easy to summon in that deck. Enchantment just steals games and robs me of victory. Rebellion just pops a card which just outright denies me making a comeback. Of course, that was before they got more support in Rise of the Duelist and got a fusion. So I don't really know how they play now, whether it's changed or whether it's exactly the same, but still, fuck Dark Lords. Lunar Lights I hate simply because Leo Dancer and Kaleido Chick exist. I mean, literally, all they ever do is summon Leo Dancer and go for an OTK while banishing the chick at the same time, so I can't do jack shit in the battle phase to save myself from being OTK. It's just not fun at all. Hats, like, I hate. Well, the artifacts are just annoyingly disruptive, or more specifically, Scythe before it got banned, and Moral Talk. Hands are also annoyingly disruptive. Not that I hate the hands on their own, like, I like using them myself, particularly in my Hands of Danger deck, but they're just annoying when they're used against me, but not nearly as annoying as the trap tricks. Using Mamilio to search Bottomless, or bringing out Rafflesia to activate it on the deck. Um, but I'll talk more about that later. Either way, Hat is just not fun at all. Oh yeah, and there's too many disruptive traps. Scareclaw I hate because it's an OTK deck. It just brings out Tryhard far too easily, along with a bunch of other defense position monsters, and has the ability to do multiple attacks, which usually results in game. And of course, the boss monster is unaffected by the effects of monsters in defense mode and forces anything in attack mode to switch to defense. Like, how is that even fair? Like, seriously, I just wish this archetype never existed. Your Senju's I hate because it's an OTK deck that runs degenerate floodgates. You know, macro, defissure, um, you name it. I would have said Vanity's Emptiness, but obviously Vanity's is banned. But it's something they could have played, like in the earlier days. Either way, Ascensions are just not fun. The Churias I hate simply because Beast and Bamboo Shoot exist. Like, spell heavy decks just auto lose the Beast. Like, the effect isn't even once per turn, and milling cards is nothing to give up. Bamboo Shoot just stops me from using half my deck at all, period, just by tributing an Naturia in order to tribute summon it. I mean, sure, it probably doesn't hurt monster effect heavy decks, but everyone else just suffers as a result. EK Fire I hate because it's also an OTK deck and uses traps to basically stop me from doing anything, including Fogblade. It, not that I hate Fogblade, because like Phantom Knights on their own, I don't mind. Burning Abyss on their own, I don't mind. It's just when they're played together as PK Fire, that's where I have a problem. Speaking of OTK decks, this leads me to Cosmo. Like, again, Cosmo does nothing but OTK. Like, the ships are just too easy to bring out. And Farm Girl just is basically an OTK enabler, which gets the plays going, and you can summon this bitch off emergency teleport. Like, clear the field, summon one of the small guys, play E-Telly, special Farm Girl, attack with both, use Farm Girl to search for a Cosmo, banish both, special summon like two of the big machines, and attack for game, especially if you drop Limiter Remove. Bullshit deck is bullshit. Ancient Gears I hate because it's also an OTK. Like literally, Chaos Giant and the support from the structure deck, which came out at the same time as the Dinosaur one, just ruined them for me. Like it was originally a cool, fun GX archetype, but these cards just ruined them for me. Like if they're not OTKing with Chaos Giant, particularly if you um, bring it out with Power Bond. Um, Alternatively, there's the strategy of Gear Town, Catapult, Destroy Gear Town, special, like Reactor Dragon, and then use Gear Town to bring out Gajultron Dragon. Attack with both. Uh, oh, sorry, before attacking with both, play another Gear Town. Attack with both. Reactors effect. Pop Gear Town. Summon another uh, Gajiltron Dragon, attack for game. Or alternatively, again, you just drop limiter remove. Or, of course, there's just fancy shenanigans involving Ballista and number 60. Um, it's just not fun. Ancient Gears are just no fun to play against anymore. And yet, the other day, I get moaned at for hating them. But hey, it's my opinion, okay? I have every right to my own opinion on Ancient Gears, even if no one agrees with me on it. Like, Ancient Gears are just bullshit and unfair, and nothing will change my mind about them. And sticking with the OTK theme, this brings me to Gem Knights. Gem Knights also do nothing but OTK, even though Brilliant Fusion is banned and Master Diamond is limited, but they're still able to OTK. Like, and it's all because of Lady Lapis. Like, that card is the problem card and has just ruined the archetype. Why is this bitch not banned? Seriously. She's obviously the problem card, and yet they just tiptoed around her. I don't know. The setup for her is just too fucking easy to do. Go keys I hate simply because power load ogre and finishing move exist. Like again, going for an OTK with them is all they ever do now. Or if I'm not being OTK'd, then one of the links is negating my monster effects. I don't remember which one though. It might be Thunder Ogre, unless I'm mistaken. Um, I don't know, but it's one of them. And then there's Giant Ogre, which just negates effects that target, which is a huge problem for Dark Magician, because as a Dark Magician player, I struggle against monsters with targeting immunity, because I have lots of cards that target, and it's like, for fuck's sake, how am I supposed to out this? Seriously. Like, FAs I hate simply because Dawn Dragster, Hang On Mac, and Whip Crosser exist. Like, Hang On Mac just doesn't let me have a graveyard. Whip Crosser forces me to pay 300 to activate a monster effect. And then Dawn Dragster just negates half my deck. And it's generic. How is this even fair? Like, it's just not. Not to mention that their level modulating effects are so fucking confusing. Like, it's just so hard to keep track of whose level increased or decreased. It's like, wait, how did this level increase? Why is this 2 levels higher? Like, I just don't have a clue what's going on. Um, Weather painters I hate simply because Rainbow exists and just negates my deck, or at least it gives weather painters, it points to the ability to negate, and it's not even once per turn. Not to mention that stupid trap just makes it too dangerous to attack any of them, because otherwise they'll just get bounced back to hand. Like, it's just near impossible to do anything against them. Trap tricks I hate because it's basically a lockdown deck. Like, it does too many things that don't let me play. Like, starting with Bottomless, again, one of my most hated traps of all time. You have Mamilio, which searches it out. You have Rafflesia, which can activate it from the deck, as I stated earlier. Then, of course, you have Claria, which resets hold traps that get activated, so they just never go away. And you've got the Iraq something, like the main deck monster that protects face down back row from being destroyed. And then you've got Puddingka, which just banishes my monsters just like that. Although, to be fair, at least I have the option of special summoning a banished monster. Still, it's like, what's the point in even trying to play if I can't play? And if, with Bottomless ready and waiting, I can't make a move without any of my best monsters getting banished. It's just bullshit. And I hate that people keep trying to play me with trap tricks. Like, no means no. True Draco, I hate because it's just too fucking disruptive. Like, all the monsters are just too easy to summon because the continuous spells and traps just grant you additional tribute summons, and they just pop cards on my field just like that. Um, it's just near impossible to play against them. Monarchs are an archetype full of cheap, easy win cards which get rid of something I have just like that. And getting tribute fodder is just not hard to do at all. And then domain just stops me going in extra deck. So yeah, extra deck heavy decks just also lose to them. Sky Strikers I hate because, well, it has OTK plays, but it has too many disruptions in Widow Anchor. Oh, I'm sorry, Widow Wanker. Oh no, I didn't. Uh, and then there's Shark Cannon, and of course Ash Blossom. Like, it just does too many things that stop me from playing, and it's near impossible to stop their momentum. Like, even if I get rid of a Link, then Ray just comes back and she can immediately bring out another Link. So, yeah, it's near impossible to break the momentum unless I can get rid of that one as well, and use up that hard once per turn effect of Ray, or just use Gold by the Grave to banish her, even though the chances of seeing Gold by the Grave are too damn slim. Um, they're just not fun to play against, even with Engage Limited. ABC is, well, it's because Dragon Buster exists. It's too fucking easy to summon. It vanishes anything just like that at any time, and if I try and do something to it on my turn, it just tags out for the materials, which sets up for another one on the following turn. And it also runs Infinity, just to negate my stuff as well. So really, the only way I can beat this deck is with System Down and Kaijus, basically. That's literally it. Other than that, like, it's just impossible to do anything against them. Karakuris are another machine OTK deck. Like, literally, it's all they ever do, and it changes battle positions, um, like, which basically makes Battle Fader, my favourite anti-OTK card, useless against them. Um, yeah, it can break defences as well. Mermails I hate because it's also an OTK deck. Like, that's basically all they ever do anyway, as well as take cards out my hand with Mood and Glacier. Although I'm pretty sure there is a Mermail that rips cards from my hands as well, but I forget which one it is. Bee Troopers I hate because it plays too many negates. Like, it's mainly monster effect negates, mind you, which I don't normally mind, but when there's multiple on the field, it's impossible to play against them. And then, of course, there's this stupid big boss monster, which can hardly do anything against. I say that, but it has targeting and destruction immunity as a Link summoned monster. Um, but yeah, you just can't do shit against them. Six Samurais I hate because Shen and Beast exists. Like, they just, again, negate half my deck just like that, and they're too easy to bring out. I mean, again, sure, monster effect heavy decks aren't really hurt by it, but everything else suffers, god damn it. Gladiator beasts I hate because Heraclinos, old arch nemesis of mine, negates half my deck while Chariot negates the other half. Like, like, these cards have just been a thorn in my side for the last 15 years, and once upon a time was one of my most hated decks in the game. Boy, how times have changed. And I still hate them to this day. UAs I hate because it's an OTK deck and a lockdown deck. Like, Perfect Ace and Blockbacker just stop me from doing anything. Mighty Slugger is an OTK card, especially when equipped with Power Jersey, and then there's Penalty Box, which makes it too dangerous to attack any of the UAs, because my monster will just get banished. So annoying. Macro I hate because graveyard dependent decks just auto lose to them, and I usually play decks that need the graveyard, and if I can't use my graveyard, I can't play. Like, Again, just like Glads, this was one of my most hated decks in the game once upon a time. And yeah, I still think that Macro and D Fisher should have stayed at one, or even better, got banned because fuck floodgates and everything they stand for. Plunder Patrol I hate because like it's just disruptive as fuck. Like they play so many disruptions that you just can't do shit against them. Lease negates half my deck. Bram banishes my back row at any time. Moak banishes my monsters at any time. Sure, they have to have a plunder patrol equipped, those last two monsters, but that doesn't matter because there usually is one equipped. Um, I mean, sure, they could probably auto lose to a wind deck, but they can just get around it with booty and summoning the extract monsters properly. So, their weaknesses just don't mean anything. Booties I hate because it plays too many cheap shot banish cards, too many disruptions, and too many interruptions, which makes it get to a point where I can't fucking play. Like, even on my own turn, because they do like a million things on my turn, and it's like, oh my god, stop doing things on my turn. Seriously. Invoked I hate because, like, regardless of the build, it's a lockdown deck. Like, literally, Mechaba is the source of my hatred for this deck. Like, literally, all they ever do is make Mechaba and just negate everything I do and banish what it negates. Plus, Annoy Attilas just adds an extra disruption. Like cyber dragons, I hate simply because infinity exists. Like whether they're going first or second, they just summon infinity, sit behind it, don't bother doing much else, and just get a free win because you can't play with that bastard on the field. Yeah, and if they're going second, like they still bring out infinity, but also bring out Seeger and Rampage, and just use and abuse them for OTK purposes. Like, that's literally it. Prank Kids, I hate because it's also an OTK. And if they're not OTKing, then my monsters are getting blown away at any time by Battling Butler, and my back row is getting blown away at any time by Roaring Roaster, which makes this deck a bad matchup for Dark Magician. Unless, of course, I can get Dark Magician the Dragon Knight out very quickly. Oh, and it plays Toad as well, just to stop me from doing anything as well. Runic I hate because it's an archetypal deck out deck. And not only does it mill cards out, it also banishes them. And like I said, it's cheap, dirty, dishonourable, and disrespectful. Fuck Runics. Ashtera is a deck full of cheap shot banish cards as well, and it banishes them face down as well, which is even worse. And yeah, Mind Hacker helps out with that, banishing from either the extra deck or the main deck. Whereas Arise Heart is a walking macrocosmos, so again, graveyard dependent decks just auto lose to it. Trick Stars, like, don't even get me started on Trick Stars. Like, another old arch nemesis deck. It's an OTK battle burn deck. Like literally, all they ever do is use light stage and multiple copies of reincarnation and Lycoris to banish free hands and just end me right there and then. Hello, Tor. Like it's being bullshit, and it's just not worth playing against Trick Stars. Like, I hate that light stage has gone back to free. Um, like literally, if Lycoris and reincarnation didn't exist, I wouldn't have a problem with Trick Stars. So Yeah, without those two, maybe this would be a fair and balanced deck, but it's just not. Infernoids I hate because it's basically macro with negates. Like all of the Infernoids are just cheap shot banish cards, which just banish cards from my graveyard and use Deviety and Anuku to negate everything I do. Oh, and it OTKs as well. Like, can't do shit against Infernoids, especially when they're also playing Lair of Darkness as well. Yeah, why not do absolutely everything to stop the opponent playing and having fun? Uh, Burn decks, like, they're just worse than Deck Out, in my personal opinion. Like, whether it's Nurse Burn, Bad Reaction Burn, Chain Burn. Seriously, Storly Burn decks just shouldn't be a thing, and it's hard to have respect for anyone who plays them. Like, it's more cheap, dirty, honourable and disrespectful than trying to deck the opponent out. Like, this is a deck for scumbags. Seriously. I would have said Mystic Mind Burn as well, but obviously that deck is dead because Mystic Mind got banned. Yay! Um, that wasn't sarcasm, by the way. Sword Soul I hate because it's also an OTK deck and it runs a cheap shot banish card, which is Cheng-Ying. It runs uh I can't remember the name of the other one. Uh Xiao or something. The one I think it's the level 8 one that negates monster effects. And even worse, it has Baron, my most hated synchro in the game. Like, it just spams all these synchros out way too easily, with Longyun just getting cheap, easy wins through end of match procedure in a tournament setting. Like, I know I don't play in tournaments anymore, but that's not the point. I've heard horror stories about Longyun. I don't think I've been done in by it, but even so, Sword Soul is just bullshit, unfair, no fun to play against. The deck needs to die in a fire. Zombie Horde is a lockdown deck, another deck that just doesn't let you play. Like, Zombie World just messes up decks that need to be of a certain type. You've got Rock, which just negates monster effects, just shutting down half a deck and just outright banishing them. And then there's Rivalry of the Warlords, which just really does make it so you basically can't play the game. Go into the extra deck if they need cards to be of a certain type. It's just unfair and unbalanced. Mutants are also a lockdown deck. Like, it's basically macro, but runs degenerate fusion monsters that negate your deck. Like, that's basically what it comes down to, and uh, it's just not fun. Pendulum Magicians do nothing but OTK and lock your deck down. Like, that's all they ever do. They either OTK with a board of negates or just shut down your deck with a board of negates, including Odd Eye's Vortex Dragon, another old arch nemesis of mine. Like, Barrier Statue Stun, well, does what it says on the tin. It's a stun deck. Decks that rely on special summoning just auto lose to it. Like, this deck is just bullshit, unfair, shouldn't be a thing. Thankfully, one of the barrier statues is gone, but all the others should just fuck off and go as well. Frames is basically hand trap deck. Like, it plays too many cards that just negate something that you do. Um, like Omega and Zeta are just annoyingly disruptive, and then you've got Overload, which is a cheap shot banish card, just banishing something at any time, just like that. A morphage is basically a floodgate archetype. It's just an archetype of monsters that don't let you play. And the maintenance cost means nothing because it's a pendulum archetype and you're always going to have tribute fodder. Or if not in the morphages themselves, then tokens, even ones you summon off scapegoats. It's just fucking bullshit. Paleozoic frog, well, I don't know if it's still a thing now that Ronin Todin's banned, but Paleos are just bullshit and unfair as well. There's like it plays degenerate floodgates, it plays a bunch of annoying traps that disrupt your plays and stop you from doing anything. And then there's totally arsehole, which just outright negates your deck. Flunderies, like it's just disruption, interruption city. Like there's a whole bunch of normal summons leading up to Empen, Rise of Mega Monarch, or Mist Valley Apex Avian. Like Avian just outright negates your deck. Uh, Riser just spins two cards and stops you from drawing two new ones, which um, just puts you in a worse position than you're in already. And Empen just stops attack position special summoned monsters from doing anything. And you've got Map and Trap, which I still don't remember the name of, which just triggers all these normal summons on my turn. It's like, again, oh my god, stop doing things on my turn. And of course, again, it plays Macro and Deep because they don't care about the graveyard and hates anti-meta. Like, it's another deck that just doesn't let you play, which is infuriating. You've got Thunder King to stop searches, Doom Cow to stop one monster negate, which isn't too bad, especially since it's mandatory. You've got Banisher, which doesn't let you have a graveyard, and Fossil Diner, which doesn't let you special summon, and it's backed up by traps that just don't let you play. Endymion, it was originally number 10, but I actually bumped this up because this deck has got even more annoying since I last ranted about it on this list. You see, Spellbook of Judgment came back since I did the last hated deck videos, and yeah, that was a big mistake because now they have the ability to bring out Jalgan the Spiritualist, another monster that shuts down special summons. And yeah, as you may have guessed, I hate monsters that shut down special summons. Jalgan, Vanities, Christia, like all three of these monsters should just die in a fire. Um, so yeah, Endymion is just more annoying than ever, and it was already bad enough that Endymion itself is an OTK enabler, and if I'm not being OTK'd, it's negating half my deck while it has fuck all weaknesses, and Jackal King and Appaloosa negate the other half, and then there's Necro Valley, which again cuts off my graveyard. Plus, there's Magician's Right Hand and Secret Village to stop me from playing spells. Like, and it just counters like two of the best ways to get rid of negates: Super Poly and Dark Ruler No More. Like, great. The fuck do I do now? Um, It's like, well, what's even the point in playing against Endymion if you can't play at all? Like, no offense to a certain pendulum player I know, like, I don't mean any disrespect, but um, yeah, this is why people hate Endymion and never want to play against it. Like, then, of course, the top four hasn't changed at all. Like, Altergeist, again, it's a lockdown deck. It's full of cards that just don't let you play, including uh, Hexia plus a bunch of floodgates. Then Silquitus just bounces cards at any time, while Mulaseek sends stuff to the grave. This deck is just impossible to beat. Evil Swarms I hate because Ophion exists, and decks that rely on high level monsters that need to be special summoned just auto lose to it. Counter Fairies, well, it does what it says on the tin. It counters everything that's thrown at them. It's one of the most infuriating lockdown decks ever. Like it just has an answer for everything and does too many things that just don't let you play. But even this isn't as degenerate and toxic as my number one hated deck in the entire game, Herald. Seriously, Herald of Perfection and Herald of Ultimateness should just never have been made. Like, they just negate everything, and their negation effects are not even once per turn, and they're too fucking easy to summon. Alright, yes, they can brick, but not always. Like, I hate how people use bricking as a defense for annoying decks like this. Bricking does not always happen. And it sure as hell doesn't justify the existence of toxic decks that say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And yeah, that's pretty much it. This actually ended up proving to be a lot longer than I thought it would, but at least it's not gone on for hours and hours on end. Um, but yeah, that is a basic summary of why I hate every single one of my hated decks. Um, yeah. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.
Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Magician YouTube channel.